still having a hard time moving past our divorce. I tried everything in my power to keep my wife happy, yet she cheated on me just to pass her boredom. This is the story of how I lost it all and yet found peace in life. Back in 2005, when I graduated from the university and was planning to join the army, I started to get prepared for my army exams. I also joined the gym and started working out almost daily. My routine was very disciplined, as I used to wake up early in the morning and start my day with 3-kilometer run, and would do a very healthy breakfast and go straight to library to prepare for my exams. Then I would return and do a very healthy lunch, and later in the day would go to gym and would work out for a couple of hours. One day while I was at the gym, I saw that we have a new instructor and she was a very fit person and also very health conscious, as she used to give yoga classes. Over the couple of weeks, we became friends. One day when we were discussing our diets, she told me that she's also studying to become a certified health instructor and will be graduating in health sciences this year. While I told her my ambitions to serve our country as an army officer and do my very best to serve the country, she got very excited hearing about my future plans. We used to discuss our life after we were done exercising. One day I asked her to join me for dinner, and she gladly accepted, so we went for a long walk and had a fine dinner at a restaurant. While we were having dinner, she was constantly blushing, and I was getting the idea that she is very much interested in me. She also mentioned that she always wanted a stronger man for her, as she herself is a very strong-headed lady. It did not take us long to get close to each other, as we already used to meet daily at gym, and we started going for long walks afterwards. We used to talk a lot about our future and our hobbies. After a couple of months, I felt that she's the right person for me to make her my wife, so I planned a surprise proposal and asked her for her hand in marriage. She gladly accepted, and within a few weeks, we were married and living together. Time flew so quickly, and finally my exams came and I cleared it with distinction and was accepted in the armed forces as an officer. I was so happy to finally achieve my ambition in life. Also, at the same time, I was married to the love of my life. We started our new life by moving to an army base near the capital city, where I was designated as senior ranking officer. Then came the best days of my life, and I had a baby girl. When she was born, I was the luckiest man on this planet. My wife chose to become a stay-at-home mom, and it was not a big deal for me, as I was doing very well in my career and we were living a happy life. First 2 years were really good, as weekends were totally dedicated to friends and family, and we became very close to other army families and used to have get-togethers and have barbecues and go fishing. It was a close-knit community. After the first year, my wife planned to start teaching yoga there, and I was in full support of her to get started and live an active life. While I went on a mission to another state for a couple of months, and it was a very hard struggle for me since I was away from my baby girl and my beloved wife. But I kept my hopes high to soon return to them and have family time together. And after a couple of months, as I was planning to come back, I had an opportunity to buy a really good home for us. So I thought about surprising my wife with a new house. Who would have thought that she was planning to live a totally different life? I had only one thing on my mind, and that was my family while she was in an affair to fill her boredom, and who knew I would be going into shock after what was waiting for me. Fast forward a couple of months. As I came back, I observed the clear difference in her behavior, as she was a bit cold and distant and was not very talkative. I thought maybe it's the weather or maybe it's her health, but she used to keep quiet now on a regular basis and was mostly busy with her own activities while I had to go to work. I thought positively as I was expecting it's a phase that will be over soon. Fast forward to the winter holidays, as we were planning to visit our parents. She refused to go with me on holidays and to celebrate Christmas with our parents. She insisted on staying there. This came like a shock to me, as it had never happened before. It was something that I was experiencing for the first time, but I kept quiet and was trying to process it all, that why she had drawn distance towards me while I had been nothing but a caring husband and a providing father, and was always there to support her. Still struggling with these thoughts, I had another upcoming deployment for a couple of months, so I had to leave the city and to move to another garrison to stay there and assist my officers, and I had to return in summers. Again, it was a bit hard for me as I got lonely without my family, yet I worked hard and made sure that my commanding officers gave me good ranks, and after a couple of months I requested for holidays and was planning to surprise my wife upon my return. While on my way back, I bought her the best gift I could, and when I reached my home and knocked the door, she opened it, but instead of being happy, I saw horror in her eyes, and it was very confusing for me because it's been months and I was dying to meet my family. On the other hand, when she saw me, she covered up with a fake smile, but was not really happy as it was all written on her face. I was so confused by all this that I finally planned to meet a psychologist and shared my problems with him so that I can figure all things and live a happy, healthy life once again. Upon visiting my psychologist, he asked me random questions which I was not aware of. They were mostly about my temperament and my wife's temperament, and a series of questions about overcompatibility, which I had no doubt, as we were friends first and we really never argued. Yet the gap between us was growing and I was so confused over how to resolve it. Well, after a couple of sessions and doing family therapy, still it was of no use. Then came the day which shook my core being. As I came home, my wife greeted me with a half smile, but was too tired to have any conversation and went to sleep as I was used to it by now. So I started making food while her cell phone started to ring. At first, I ignored it, but finally checked to see if there's any sort of emergency. But to my surprise, it was a strange name which I had never heard before, and an army tag which was a junior rank. To my surprise, her phone was not locked and I started to go through her messages, and the price I had to pay to see her stuff was something that haunted me for a long time. She was already in contact with a junior officer and was having conversation for 8 months. They had gone on dates and had really intimate conversations and were planning to move to another state. This obviously came as a cold hard shock to me, yet the pieces started to fall into places, and I was not clear why she was so cold and distant, as she was already in contact with someone else. Now came that twist that I had not known the identity of a person, so I planned to track him down and see who is on the other side. So I called a very close friend of mine to track down the phone number and tell me the name of the owner. It came even more of a shocking surprise to me that he was my very close friend and a junior ranking officer who lived next door to us. It was a very sorrowful news to me, and I went into a deep state of sadness as I was unable to understand where I had done such a mistake to deserve all this. All these years I have been at very best to this lady, yet she chose to stab me in the back. I was totally numb. Before I planned to confront her, I thought that I should consult my psychologist and discuss it with him. So next day I went there and we had a really long session where I told him everything, how it has turned out over all these years. Yet having a baby, she did what was totally not expected of her. He assured me that in the long run, things will definitely turn in my favor, but I have to be patient for now and wait for the right time to take action, so I planned to catch her red-handed. After a few days, I told her that I was getting deployed for 1 month and will be moving to another state soon. We said our farewells, and instead of going anywhere, since it was all a planted idea, I moved to my friend's house for a couple of days just to catch her red-handed. Then came the day I was anticipating. I saw her getting in the car and moving towards the park. I started to follow her and saw my junior ranking officer with her. So it was pretty clear that they were in contact with each other and they were getting really close, as she was very comfortable around him and was happy and smiling. And she spent almost the whole day with him in the park and then went to a restaurant to have dinner while I was devastated. By seeing all this, I still kept my nerves intact. In the evening, I saw them returning and moving in my house. This was my shot, so I planned to take it. After waiting for like 15 minutes, as I had a spare key, I quietly unlocked the front door and entered my home. There they were sitting on the couch, pretty close to each other, and were watching a movie. As they saw me there, the shock on her face and his were something that could not be expressed in words. They were horrified and totally not expecting to see the man of the house standing there. They tried to reason it with me while she was trying to create a scene and do a melodrama. I quietly insisted that she leave the house. As I was a commanding officer, I ordered my junior to get the hell out of my home and to see him in the court, since my home has CCTV cameras and I had their pictures as evidence. I assured them I will be suing them soon enough. This was something that blew the mind of my junior, and he started to blame my wife for all of it. And that turned out to be her nightmare, as she had expected to hear long promises from him. And when it came to it, he obviously chickened out. She now had a pretty good idea what grave mistakes she had made with such a nice person as me. Next day, I went to the army court and presented my case in front of the judge. Having everything in my favor, my junior was court-martialed right away and never to return to the army. Seeing that, my wife went into shock and started blaming me and asking for my forgiveness, but it was way too late now. I just said that her divorce papers will be delivered to her. Better she leave and move on to her parents, and we will discuss custody later on. She cried, she pleaded, she blamed me, but now it was way too late, and given the evidence in all those years in which she kept quiet and I still never bothered her, this was the time when I took that decision and chose to leave her and finish it all and for good. Though it was very painful at the start, I was at peace in my heart that I had done the right thing. After my divorce, I was totally focused on my career and started to work hard and soon started to rise in rank pretty quickly. It took me many therapy sessions and a full year, yet I recovered stronger than ever before, and I was grateful to finally find the truth. It didn't take me very long to find another army lady officer who was very humble in nature and very professional in career. After having many conversations with her, I observed that we both are mature enough to consider each other as our better counterparts, so I did not take much time to delay it, and we got remarried, and I was so surprised that she was such a dedicated person, a humble, honest, and totally ground-to-earth personality with a very calm and soft aura. Fast forward a couple of months, I won custody of my daughter. Given the case and the nature of the scenario, I took in my daughter, and new wife was beyond excited to have her and make her her own daughter. On the other hand, my first wife got a pretty low-level job as a waitress, and she got what she deserved and regretted ever since about what she had done to me, but it was quite late now. I believe after living so many years on this planet Earth, I've learned that karma definitely hits us in an equal manner. If we do good to others, we'll be definitely taken care of, and if we cheat life sooner or later, but eventually we'll catch up and we'll have to pay for it. I'm also obsessed that I'm living a happy life now.